What is up, buddies? Hey, it's Concert Buddy. This week's video, I'm doing a shootout in the holster between my original pressing of Chris Isaak's Heart-Shaped World and the recent RSD Essential reissue that came out here in the last couple weeks. Curious which one sounds better? So was I. Cue that lever and I'll tell you coming up after the break what I found. Alright, buddies, so truth be told, when I heard that they are reissuing this record, the Chris Isaak Heart-Shaped World, this guy right here, I was going to sit it out. I was pretty content with my, almost dropping this record, with my original pressing that I got for a song a while ago. But upon release, I heard some other folks and read online that this reissue really sounded dynamite. So I ended up picking it up on my record store road trip video to Indianapolis Luna Records. I'll post a link here. But picked it up just because I was there. And when I showed that record in that video, I had some comments come back to me saying, man, I wonder what that sounds like compared to the original. Well, since I had an original, I thought that'd be a great idea, because I'm all about the Concert Buddy channel, if nothing else, is all about giving the people what they want.
You got to give the people what they want.
I thought, what would be cooler than to compare my original pressing to this reissue? I'll let you know what I found out, because the OG, the original, has been known to be a little pricey, but it's also been known, or at least understood or thought, to sound really good. And that's been my experience so far. When I got it years ago, it sounded good. The first time I listened to it, I just listened to, obviously, Wicked Game, the signature song, the sexy music video. I believe it was done by Herb Ritz, who is I think he recently passed away, famous photographer, cinematographer, all that kind of stuff. I know people in the VC, like Matt over at Prime Analog Records, knew Herb, which I thought was really cool to hear. But anyway, that's probably what this album is most known for, is that song, that video. Chris Isaak, a really talented guy. If you've checked out any of his other stuff before this record, after this record, what have you. But anyway, I thought it'd be a great idea to clean them up, shine them up, and let you guys know what I found out. So let's get into it.
I know the vacuum cleaner man. He's seen my tits. I know that's not going on TV, but it's true. It's true. I'm not here to lie to you.
All right, for the shootout, I started with the reissue. Again, this is a RSD Essential that I know several people in the vinyl community were stoked was coming back into print. As you can see, the reissue, just to show you, was on this white wax. When you hold up to the light, it's kind of like a cream kind of color. It's probably as close to white as they can get. Comes on that sexy Sun Records label, which was really cool. Assuming it's 180 grams because it has a little weight to it. But this is the one I started the shootout with. I thought, let me start with this one and then I'll compare it to the original. So my thoughts, sounded great. Really, really good sounding record. It was flat. My copy was a flat pressing. Mostly quiet between the passages, a little light noise, but my assumption is because it's on this colored vinyl, probably that's where it came. I did run this through my cleaner before I played it, just like I went and cleaned my OG for this. So I don't think that that was related to being right out the package, right? So my assumption is it has probably just a little bit of noise because of the colored vinyl. Really good punch, really good sound. Came back to me, a really good presence to the record, to the music. It was easy to hear the instrument separation when you're listening to each song. Again, that sexy Sun label is like really, really cool. And they did a nice job with the artwork. It's a little more pretty close. I mean, I would like to think that they had the same artwork. So, because with a lot of these reissues, particularly 90s reissues, they don't, for whatever reason, they can't track down the art file. So you'll see, like, I think like the POD satellite reissue that came out a few months ago was, I think they actually asked somebody who had the record online. This is a true story. I think I read it on the Hoffman forums. The person had said in the forums they had that record, and literally the reissue folks reached out to them to ask them if they could take a picture or send them that jacket so they could reproduce the artwork. So this looks really good. Like I said, when I listened to it, I was like, man, this really sounds good, which could be primarily attributed to the mastering. So if the mastering from the jump is done really well, it makes it a lot easier. So with this record, you can still find it. That's the good news. It hasn't completely sold out. I will leave a list of record stores that I've went and just kind of checked and see if they had stock as of me filming this video. So if you are interested, I think it's about median price, like $27-28 pre-shipping. So for the value, and who knows if they'll reissue this anytime soon, I would not sleep on picking up this reissue, particularly as we're going to get into it here in a second, talk about the original release and just the crazy pricing, the aftermarket for that one. This is great value.
I haven't been allowed to drive for 3 years, so I am not a good judge of that.
I already kind of gave away the store because you saw I had both records up. This is my original pressing. It's got a little bit of wear, because this one obviously is considerably older than that reissue. It came on the, and I'm terrible at this, reprise, I probably don't know how to pronounce it, but label. So if I'm comparing that to that Sexy Sun label, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm a sucker for a classic. That Sun label record is fantastic. That really cool label. But like I said, I put on the reissue first, so then I would have a good template to kind of work off of. And with this test, listen, there are folks who, like I'm thinking of the vinyl archivist, Patrick, have super equipment, they do all these sound wave stuff. That's not what this review is. This review is me putting the records, cleaning them both, putting it on the turntable, same lighting, same day, same everything, to have considerable or relatively similar conditions or variables, so then that way I could just assess based on what I was listening to. So I put the reissue on first, and I finished with this OG. And I'm not making this up. This isn't hyperbole. When I put this on and it first started playing, the first 30 seconds, I sat up in my chair, my listening chair, and I was like, wow. And not that it was like light years ahead of the reissue, because the reissue, again, sounds terrific. I just could note it, like it just grabbed me. Just the presence of the music was just on me, and I literally audibly said, wow. So listen to both sides. I just felt like it had a little bit of extra pop on the fastball, if that makes sense, to borrow a baseball analogy. Just felt like it had just a little bit stronger punch. Again, mostly quiet in a lot of the passages. There was a little bit of popping, a little popcorn, only, I'm assuming, because it's considerably older, and since I didn't have this record from the jump, this is a pre-owned record, I'm sure it was handled well, but again, this is a going on 30-year-old record. Again, the record is relatively flat, didn't really have any issues there, had a little kind of movement to it. I felt that the reissue was considerably, I wouldn't say considerably, was flatter. I didn't notice any kind of movement when it was playing. Both played clean, both played fine. And then I'm assuming, since this was made years and years and years ago, this is probably about 140 gram vinyl. But I just really impressed with this. I was fortunate years ago, as I said in that record store road trip video, this OG I got for $5 at, I believe it was the record show through a shop that's in Columbia, Missouri called Hit Records. Steel, borderline steel. Now, this is before the aftermarket really took it up in price. Now it's consistently above $100 plus. I think when I looked at this last week, just online, just on Discogs, just to get a frame of reference, it was like $120. So what does that mean when I'm comparing the final verdict between these two records?
You want to see my tits?
All right, buddies. So if I'm scoring it like a boxing match between this Shootout, it's really, for the most part, a pick-em. It's just on preference. I will say I gave the slight, and I mean this sincerely, the slightest edge to the original pressing because of that moment where I literally sat up in my chair and I was like, wow. Doesn't mean that the reissue is bad. It's not. It's a fantastic reissue. It sounds really, really good. And I would say that, again, for $30 ballpark, if you can track one down, I would highly recommend it. Like top to bottom, both sides. This is a really good record. Wicked Game, to be honest, sounded a little bit better on the original pressing, if I'm being candid, but marginally, not like leaps and bounds. But if you can get this reissue, I would run, not walk, run to your nearest local if they have it, or like I said, I'll leave a list of shops that sell online that you can get it through. But to me, I felt the OG was, I call it 53-47. Again, almost 50-50 toss-up, that I feel like the original pressing was just a little bit better. Now, that could be some sort of placebo effect because of thinking this is the original and it's closer to the mastering chain than the reissue, but I'm basing it based on experience. And I'll be candid, I wouldn't try to lead you astray, and I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just, if you don't want to pay $120, do what you want with your money. If you want to buy an original and track down an original, go for it. This is worth the money, I think. But if you're not there, you're not a giant fan of the music, and you can get the reissue, again, this is sexy as hell. This white wax, that Sun label, great. Highly encourage you to get that reissue. But anyway, folks, that is my verdict, 53-47 to the original. That's how I felt the Shootout played it. What say you? Does anybody out there have an original and this reissue and done something similar? I'd love to hear what somebody else thought if they did a similar exercise. Have you heard this album? Does it bring back memories? Like, what do you think? Is this a winner? This is my first Shootout for the channel, so I'm highly, highly interested in what you have to say about it, and also future ideas for other Shootouts. I would love to hear. I know I have a couple kind of in the back of my head, but this one felt a little more time present just because that reissue just came out, and I wanted to let you guys know this, so if you were interested, you can go get that reissue before. Again, who knows if they're going to reissue it anytime soon. So, buddies, that's all I got for this video. Thank you for spending your time watching this. Thank you for humoring me and watching me do this Shootout. And if you get the chance to pick up an OG or this sexy, sexy reissue, highly encourage you to do so. But if you get the chance, just spin it. See you next time.
Well, well, well. How the turntables...
Well, we out of time.